And it's the Blazers coming in from out of town in this one. An interconference game today. So glad you can join us for this presentation of 2K Sports in the NBA. This is Kevin Harlan. Joining me, Steve Kerr and Clark Kellogg. You look at Atlanta. Guys, when you compare their performance last season to where they sit right now, not a whole lot different story. Not necessarily a big surprise either.
Seeing where the Hawks are, they've had a tough time setting themselves apart from the pack this season.
Yeah, they sure have. It's really been one of those years where nothing really gets going. There's never kind of an ignition that kicks in for this club. They just kind of seem to hover around the middle all year.
The starters for the Portland Trail Blazers. Aldridge and Camby up front. Belton is out there with Matthews. And it's Batum in at the small forward. And for the Hawks, Williams and Smith at the forward. Horford anchoring the middle. Heinrich and Johnson in the backcourt. Now here's Heinrich. And Batum picks him up defensively. Here's Smith. Uses the glass to finish the layup. Smith's got the opening bucket of the night here for the Hawks.
And I think one of the things that Josh Smith has really improved on is his shot selection. He used to really fire away from the three-point line, and as a result, his shooting percentages were very low. But now he's become a 50% range type shooter because he's become much smarter with his offensive choices.
And Heinrich gets it to go.
Even with the D lurking, he made it look easy with the soft finger roll.
And here's Portland. 4-point game. They come into this one following the loss to the Mavericks.
Pretty poor effort at both ends of the floor, guys. They got abused defensively, and at the offensive end, they just didn't have the firepower to make up for it.
And I'm not sure what the reason was behind that, Steve. I mean, they didn't show a whole lot of heart on the defensive end. They didn't show any tenacity. And to me, it's inexplicable.
All right, let's go over to the sideline with Doris Burke.
Well, Kevin, Larry Drew gave me a few minutes to catch up with him. I asked him what the key difference is between these teams, and he said there really isn't much of a difference. Watching them on tape is like looking in the mirror, and he admitted they had a very tough time preparing for such a similar opponent. Guys?
Thanks for that, Doris. Boy, any edge you can get, guys, in a matchup like this is huge.
Yeah, I agree. You're exactly right. You're all over it there. I mean, these teams are very much on the same plane. You know, I think it's going to be a chess match.
I agree, Clark. I mean, I would expect a close game. It should be a back-and-forth contest, and should be fun to watch. I would expect it to go down to the wire.
Matthews, no good. And so here is Atlanta. They trail by 1.
You know, the Blazers last season made that trade for Gerald Wallace, adding defense and toughness at that forward position, and I think he was big for them down the stretch. His energy is infectious.
Horford, and a great assist by Heinrich as that one goes in. Horford's got his first points of the night. Hawks on D. They're coming off that win against the Nets.
I thought their game plan offensively was terrific. They executed. Seemed like everything was going for them.
Yeah, and they ran a lot of good plays for a number of different players.
Steve, going back to the addition of Wallace to the Blazers, Clark just talked about it. They are stacked on the wings.
Yeah, they are really deep at shooting guard and small forward. I thought Wallace really helped their team. The key for them is getting healthy and getting more shooting to surround LaMarcus Aldridge in that front court.
Now here is Aldridge after the miss from Joe Johnson. Aldridge, a little shot fake there, got the D out of position.
And that's what he does. I mean, he takes advantage. If you're going to play poor defense, he's going to get a hoop easily.
Johnson outside. Horford backing in. Smith kicks to Johnson. Just 5 on the clock. Shoots over Matthews. Johnson gets the bucket. Johnson's got his first 2 points.
You know, after the disappointing end to their 2010 playoff push, the Hawks decided to make a change at the head coaching position and went with Larry Drew at the helm.
So timeout called here, the first for Portland. Clark back to Drew. They had Mike Woodson. He took him to the playoffs, but Larry Drew takes his place. Drew is on his staff that was scrutinized early, but, you know, Steve, he took him back into the playoffs and deep into the playoffs.
Well, and that was their goal. They wanted to get back to winning a series in the postseason, and Drew was able to do that. They beat Orlando in the first round, and then they gave Chicago all they could handle in round 2.
Back to Matthews. Babbitt dishes to Matthews. Smith against Aldridge.
Well, it was a breakout season a year ago for LaMarcus Aldridge. I thought he should have been on the All-Star team. But he really kept Portland in the race when they had so many injuries early on. He was their best player and became a dominant force.
And he knocks down the first one.
Under 6.
So he gets them both. Here's Heinrich. 1:02 left in the first quarter. And Smith backing in. Feeds to Wilkins. 6 on the shot clock. Johnson. Shoots over Matthews. Joe Johnson again. Johnson's got his second basket of the night. And Clark, when you think about Aldridge, and I think I know your answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Is he the best active player never to make an All-Star game?
I don't have the list in front of me, but Josh Smith, has he not made an All-Star game? I don't think Josh has made one in Atlanta. I don't think so. And then LaMarcus Aldridge. So, yeah, I don't know without a list, but he's on the list.
He seems like he should be at the
top.
Yeah,
if he's not at the top of it, yeah.
He had a clear path to the hoop the whole way.
Yeah, it doesn't get much easier than that, Steve.
Felton with the ball. 17 points for him last game against Dallas. Easy shot. Aldridge, no luck.
He's not necessarily a strong inside presence, but he needs to polish those chances off.
And at the end of one, both teams putting up some points. Up to this point, a closely contested game as we start the second quarter. On the court right now for the Trailblazers, Roy and Batum fill the wings. Then there's Felton. Then it's Oden. Outside Roy. Back to Oden. Outside Roy. His three-pointers off the mark. The Hawks leading. Their next game is at Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland, taking on the Cavaliers. That will be a getaway game for them, a one-game road trip. Now Teague. He's picked up by Roy. Here's Teague. And here is Johnson. Batum grabs the miss.
It's been a struggle for him offensively tonight, and they'd love to have his production out there. Well, Atlanta was in the playoffs a year ago, but they were not as strong as they were the previous year. And one of the reasons their home record suffered a bit.
Now, here's Roy. Still looking to get on the scoreboard.
Great defensive work right there. The quick hands lead to the turnover.
Horford the pass to Johnson. Goes right up. And it goes as the official calls the foul. Count it. He'll shoot one more at the free throw line. And on that Atlanta Hawk team, still a good team. We talked about, the problems at home. Not as dominant perhaps as before. I mean, sure, Clark, for every coach, winning at home becomes priority number one.
And you look at their numbers. They won 34 a season ago and then just 24 in the recent season. I mean, that's a 33% drop. That's a significant change.
It is. Doubled by Smith, and Mills kicks to Aldridge. Goes up on the high post, and the shot is good. Aldridge has got 8 points.
Beautiful pass there.
And it's the Hawks with the ball. This, of course, the first opportunity to play Portland this season.
Yeah, this was an interconference matchup a year ago, and they had no problem with it, winning both matchups.
Guys, you're not going to get away with that kind of defense when he's got the ball. I mean, you got to do better than that.
And here's Matthews from the arc. Kept alive. Oden kicks to Mills. Outside Matthews. Lets it go with the three. Aldridge commits the loose ball foul. That is his first foul of the game. Here's Teague. Johnson against Matthews. And so he earns a trip to the line. Officials saw the contact, and he'll shoot two. To go back to Steve's comments, even though they only faced them twice, they looked like they knew exactly what to expect.
Well, you know, all in all, it was a pretty successful year for them inside and outside their conference. They handled their business.
And one thing with Johnson that was different last season was that the Hawks made an effort to try to limit his minutes over the course of the year. Remember, he signed that long contract. They want to keep him healthy and fresh so that he can really fulfill the years on that contract.
Here's Aldridge. Powers down the dunk.
You know, you get better elevation with the one-hand dunk, and it's the most basic of all. Keep it simple.
And probably the most reliable.
Yeah, hard to mess that one up.
Here's the 2K leaderboard. These teams have been fantastic from three-point land in the last 10. In the third spot, the Hawks.
They've been really pleased, Kevin, with their three-point game. It's working better for them thanks to some adjustments they've made in their transition game.
Here's what Atlanta's going with right now. Josh Powell is checked in for Williams. Damian Wilkins comes in for Joe Johnson. And it's Heinrich in for Jeff T. Luke Babbitt, he's checked in for Portland. Hoy comes in for Wesley Matthews. Clark returning to Johnson for just a minute. That's not easy as a coach to leave a guy like him off the floor.
Well, a player of his caliber becomes a bit of a security blanket for a coach, but you have to balance the urgency of the present with what's best for your long-term future as a team. And certainly when you look at a guy like Joe Johnson, you want to get efficiency and balance that with the minutes played.
He's put on an offensive clinic. They've got to deny him the ball.
Yeah, and if that fails, then double him, Steve. I mean, they can't allow him to continue to hurt him like this.
Now here's Roy. And he uses the glass on the layup. Roy's got his first points of the game.
That was a nice finish to an excellent possession. Look, guys, I mean, the Blazers eliminated from the playoffs by the Dallas Mavericks in the first round last season. The Blazers had their moments in that series, though, most memorably a huge 23-point comeback in Game 4, led by the brilliance of Brandon Roy. But in the end, they just did not have enough to handle Dallas.
Shot clock at 2. Shot on the wing. That's good on the jump shot. And the Hawks lead by 7. Here's Mills. Right now averaging 5 points a game. Steve, that Portland-Dallas series, superior outside shooting, the difference for the Mavs.
Yeah, I agree, Kevin. The Mavs shot 38% from the three-point line in that series. Portland just 30%. And because of the lack of shooting for the Blazers, it's much easier to defend them. You can really pack the lane and take away driving lanes.
Looking at who's out there now for the Hawks. Al Horford, he's checked in for Pachulia. Williams comes in for Josh Powell. And it's Teague in for Josh Smith. On the inbound, shot by Oden is no good.
Hey, the defense was right there, just waiting, doing a nice job of anticipating that play.
Steve, every team needs tough interior defense to be successful.
Now, here's Felton, averaging 14 points a game. Down to 5 on the shot clock. Wilkins is tagged with the reach. That is his first foul of the game.
First personal foul, team's first.
44 seconds left to play here in the second quarter. Now, here's Felton. 6 to shoot. Over Teague. Nice shot by Felton. Felton has got his second basket of the night. The Hawks leading by 5. Heinrich with it. He has 7. Dishes it to Williams. 6 seconds separating the shot and game clocks. Just 5 to shoot. On the wing. And that's collected by Camby. And here is Felton. Beyond the arc. And he beat the buzzer, but it's no good. Hawks on top.
It's Wednesday night. I hope you're having a good one. Time now. In Philadelphia, the 76ers take.
And a great sight you see of Atlanta, Georgia tonight, folks. Under the stars. Listening Atlanta. with the centerpiece, Phillips Arena, where we are tonight for NBA basketball. Heinrich and Johnson in the backcourt. Smith and Horford at the 4 and the 5. And it's Williams at the small forward position. So that's the lineup for Atlanta. They double him with Horford. Johnson against Matthews. For 3, Felton. Here's Camby over Smith. Camby, no luck. The Hawks leading by 5. Now Heinrich. Kicks it to Johnson. And Batum picks him up defensively. Johnson outside. Shoots the 3. And the rebound goes to Marcus Camby. Camby's got 4 rebounds in this game.
Johnson suffered through a subpar shooting year last season due to that elbow surgery that he had in December. Probably tried to come back a little too quickly, and you could tell it really affected his game.
Aldridge, he's guarded by Williams. 13 feet out. Again, the miss by the Trailblazers.
Well, that's definitely a good look. I mean, the defense can't be that relaxed. I mean, they've got there and expect him to miss consistently from there. He's too good.
And a great assist by Heinrich as that one goes in. Williams has got it going here in the start of the second half. The first points in the third quarter for the Hawks. As we get back to Joe Johnson, Steve just talking about him and Clark, that elbow, as you mentioned before, gave him trouble all season long.
You know, Kevin, one of the things about being injured and having a surgery is you can get back and play, but it usually takes a full season or half a season before you can give the injury the kind of attention that you want to give it to get well. So that's why the offseason going into next year is going to be really important. It bothered him. I know it did, and he still played through it.
Well, you know, I mean, if you rush getting the guy back on the floor and don't let that injury completely heal, you just cause him more problems.
And that's part of the business of pro sports. When you are able to play, even if you're not 100%, guys feel an obligation to do that, and they also feel pressure to do that.
Greg Oden, he's checked in for the Trailblazers. Here's Johnson. He's got 9. Fades away. Gets the bucket. Johnson's got 11 points.
Had a good clear look right over the top of his defender because of that height advantage. Well, you look at Atlanta's team makeup last year, and it was similar to previous seasons. Very talented front court and some strong wing players, but nobody really running the show, and that was one of the reasons they traded for Kirk Heinrich at midseason.
Here's Aldridge, and he was fouled on the way up. 2 free throws now for him. That one on Horford. Back to Atlanta, they haven't had a controlling point guard in quite some time, Clark. You know, we heard Steve talk about Heinrich. Good pickup. They may still be looking for a little bit more.
Yeah, I think you may be right. Eventually, it always seems to catch up to them not having that elite, premier point guard type. They played well in the postseason without one, but they'll need a true floor general to become great to take that next step.
A couple years ago, they had that high pick, and they could have chose
Chris Paul, CP3. Right. I remember that.
Yeah. And they went another direction.
Well, for the Blazers last season, guys, I mean, they went 48 and 34 overall. I mean, 2 fewer wins from the season prior, but this team has managed to remain competitive despite just a huge number of major injuries to key players. I mean, that's a credit to those players, but also to that coaching staff. Nate McMillan and his staff have done a fantastic job keeping that team really competitive.
The first one falls. Good thought there, Clark, when you take a look at the Blazers last year, the year before, really, with all those injuries. It's interesting. Pretty comparable overall. But their home versus road split deepened, Steve, quite a bit.
Yeah, Kevin, just 18 and 23 on the road, a 6-game decrease from the season prior. So they have to figure out a way to get back to their winning ways away from home. We know they have one of the best home court advantages in the NBA, but you've got to win road games if you're going to be elite in this league.
And stolen by Horford.
Great steal in the paint. Thought he might get a layup out of it, and he wound up turning it over.
Kicks it out to Johnson. He kicks to Smith. 5 to shoot. With 1 on the clock. And Johnson missing again.
Well, Wesley Matthews was signed to be a bit of a role player for the Trailblazers, but when Roy went down, he exploded and was really key in their run last season.
Felton dishes to Matthews. Back to Felton. Puts it up. So the whistle blows on the shot, and 2 free throws for the contact right there. We're back to Wesley Matthews. Yeah, Clark, he was brought in for defense and threes. And Steve, I thought he showed so much more. Great depth to his game.
Averaged close to 18 points per game in the middle part of the season, Kevin, when Brandon Roy went down. Really was a huge addition to that Blazer offense and saved them with all the injuries they had on the wing.
Josh Powell is checked in for the Hawks. Damian Wilkins comes in for Marvin Williams.
You know, Raymond Felton the last 2 seasons has really improved his shooting nicely. I mean, both from the outside and finishing around the basket. He can penetrate, so that all helps.
Wilkins picks him up. Outside Roy. And he converts the layup. Roy's got his 2nd bucket of the night. And for Felton, at the same time, he improved his shooting. Stevie also upped his assist to a career high of over 8 a game.
Yeah, the all-around improvement for Felton was really impressive. And, he was the 5th overall pick back in 2005 by Charlotte. And I thought once he went to New York, he really started to pick up his game. And then the trade to Denver, of course. So he's become an accomplished point guard in this league.
Batum for 3. The shot's good. Roy making the play. Batum's got 6 points in the quarter. The Hawks trailing. Atlanta calls timeout.
And coach doesn't look pleased at all. He's going to try to iron things out.
And there before you are the teams that have been absolutely red hot for the last 10 games. The Hawks, number 1.
It's due to better shot selection lately, Kevin. They're taking their time to make sure the shots they take go in. Really good self-discipline there.
Here's Johnson. He's got 11. Heinrich outside. The dish to Horford. He's covered by Felton. They need this.
Solid advantage in the rebounding totals for them so far here.
You know, in every game, but particularly in a close game, every little advantage you can use helps, and they're certainly enjoying one on the glass here.
Three seconds left. No good on the buzzer beater. And the game still closely contested as we end the 3rd quarter. And now our sideline reporter, Doris Burke, has a report for our Sprite Spark of the game. Doris?
Hey, Kevin, it's the Trailblazers picking up the Sprite Spark for that stretch they put together. They look like an entirely different team on the defensive end following halftime. When they came out of the locker room with a new level of intensity, that is how they got control and jumped out in front in this one.
All right, Doris, thank you. That run has made a difference, guys. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's what got them off and going.
Yeah, they were really able to seize the momentum at that point, and they just rode it.
Okay, now let's reset our lineups courtesy of Gatorade, all fueled up and ready to go for this 4th quarter. On the court for the Trailblazers, Aldridge at the 4 and Oden at the 5. Matthews out there with Mills, and it's Batum in at the 3 spot. Here's Mills, and it's Horford picking him up. And here's Matthews from the arc. Good. And Clark, we've seen some great competition in this one.
I agree with you, Kevin. I mean, looking at the lead changes really kind of tells the story of this game.
Yeah, what's that, 7 lead changes already here? So this is a great matchup, guys. 2 competitive teams going at it.
Now T. Clock at 6. No good. And the Blazers the other way. Next up will be a home game matched up against the Pacers. That game is the first and last of their homestand. A tight game here in Atlanta. And Smith backing in. Matthews covering. And it's Smith missing.
Fadeaway was the right shot there because it got his attempt away from the defender, but the touch was poor.
And here's Matthews. He dishes it to Mills. There's the triple. Atlanta with the rebound. Williams has got 3 rebounds so far in the game. Here's T. And Smith backing in. Shoots over Matthews. Smith missing again. And here are the Blazers. A great fourth quarter, just giving up 2 points. Mills with it. And it's Horford picking him up. Now Mills. Now here's Batum. Matthews left side. Batum against Smith. That's tipped. Shot to end this cold run, and he zips to the basket and lays it in. And that makes it a tie ball game. And here are the Trailblazers. Now a timeout called by Portland.
You can tell he's in a lot of pain. They'll take a timeout so that trainer can help him out.
Let's go quickly over to Doris Burke for an update.
Gentlemen, I had a chance to find out what Nate McMillan was discussing with his players. He said to them, show me you want it more than they do. I need your best effort from here till the final buzzer. The W is there. You guys just go get it.
Here's what Atlanta's going with right now. Joe Johnson, he's checked in for Pachulia. And it's Heinrich in for Jeff T. Shot clock at 6. Aldridge, the pass to Felton. He drains it as the shot clock ticks down. And the Trailblazers lead by 2. Time called here. The Hawks decide to talk it over. They're behind by 2. 1:44 left in the fourth. Here is Heinrich. Backing him down is Johnson. He's covered by Matthews. Releases from 15. That drops. And that's 13 points for Johnson. Here's Felton. 1:29 left in the fourth quarter. Aldridge. Shoots it. Can't hit. Smith with the defensive effort. Heinrich kicks to Williams. Back to Heinrich. Some nice passing. On the wing, Johnson, defended by Batum. It's a look. Smith gets it to go on the assist by Johnson.
I like his composure there under pressure as he was being double teamed. Terrific pass.
Now a timeout called by Portland. They trail by 2. 1:05 left to play in the final quarter. 1:05 left in the fourth quarter of this one. Back to Felton. He's picked up by Heinrich. Heinrich against Felton. Aldridge against Smith. 6 on the shot clock. Outside Felton. And a miss there on the triple. This may be their most important possession.
Yeah, as long as they don't make a mistake here, they should be safe.
And here's Heinrich. Now Felton defending. Batum against Johnson. Blocked. It's 1-on-1. Here's Felton. It's off.
Heads up play, preventing the easy lane.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, he saw it was a free layup, didn't want to give that up. So he fouled him the fourth free throw.
Sinks the first one, and that narrows the gap to 1. And he makes both free throws.
Those were absolutely do or die, and he stepped up and knocked them down. Now, can they get a stop to force overtime?
Time called here. The Hawks decide to talk it over. The score knotted at 38. 12 seconds left in the fourth quarter. 12 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Backing him down is Johnson. Shoots over Matthews. Oh, no good.
I think he caught the defense off balance there. But I think he just sort of lost the touch on the release, kind of short on it.
For the win. Oh, it's off the mark. And we're going to overtime. Regulation is ended and we're heading to overtime. We've got overtime action now, folks. Clark Kellogg, Steve Kerr, Doris Burke on our sideline, and this is Kevin Hart. The Trailblazers making a switch here. Camby's checked in, courtesy of Gatorade. All fueled up and ready to go. Let's reset the lineup for us now in overtime. On the court for Atlanta, Smith and Horford at the 4 and the 5. Heinrich and Johnson in the backcourt. And it's Williams at the 3, the small forward.
He is just so good from that range, guys.
You know, never mind with the height advantage he had there.
Here's Felton. Outside, Batum.
Tell you, he's worked hard to improve his jumper, but it still hasn't clicked for him.
From downtown, and the shot is good from Johnson. And the Hawks lead by 5.
You recognize there a good job by him that he could find some room behind that three-point line on the break.
Aldridge against Smith. Shoots from the high post. And that one's good by Aldridge. Time called here. The Hawks decide to talk it over. Greg Oden, he's checked in for Marcus Camby. Here's Heinrich. Backing him down is Johnson. Shoots it up. Another miss by Johnson.
Had a good look at the rim, though. That was poor defense.
Felton kicks to Matthews. The tray gets it to go. And we're now all tied up at 43. Here's Heinrich. Outside Williams. Back to Heinrich. Clock at 6. Taken away by Felton.
He's been doing a nice job taking care of the ball. Not many miscues from him in this one. That's his only turnover.
The kick out to Aldridge. And Oden backing in. Over Heinrich. And the Trailblazers getting another bucket right there.
He's just so clutch. Here's a guy you want on your side with the game on the line, Kevin.
Atlanta calls timeout. They're losing by 2. There's a minute left in the first overtime. Action has been terrific. Johnson with it. Matthews covering. To end the run. Blocked.
Well, that's the way to get the board there.
Just been rebounding well all game long. Clark, they'll be trying to take as much time off the clock as they can.
Exactly. Expect to see some long possessions out of them going forward.
Out Felton. Outside Oden. Smith gets a hand on it. Steve, what a big possession right here.
No doubt, guys. You can feel the tension in this building.
Now here's Heinrich. And the pass to Johnson. And Batum picks him up defensively. He nails it. And we're tied up. Now a timeout called by Portland. Here's Felton. Oh, and a chance to win the game, but the last second shot is offline. Another tie, and we're going to have a second. Marcus Camby, he's checked in for Portland. The Hawks get the tip. Heinrich kicks to Williams. Backing him down is Johnson. And it's blocked. And here are the Blazers. Outside for Felton. From the baseline. And Aldridge gets it to go on the assist by Felton. 16 points for Aldridge. Here's Heinrich. Johnson outside. Matthews covering. Another three for Atlanta.
Every time it seems like one team makes a run, there's a response.
Yeah, this has been teeter-tottering back and forth like a seesaw.
Felton kicks to Aldridge. Back to Felton. He's picked up by Heinrich. Aldridge covered by Smith. The kick out to Matthews. Takes the three. Rebound Atlanta.
Kind of rare to see him come up empty on a wide open look.
Smith gets it to go on the assist by Heinrich. And now it's a 3-point Hawks lead. Now a timeout called by Portland. They're down by 3. 1:46 left to play in the second overtime period. Could not get a winner with just one. And the Trailblazers making a change. Oden's checked in. Here's Felton. Pass to Aldridge. The feed to Oden. Portland good that time either. The Hawks leading by 3. Deflects the pass. Matthews with the steal. Into LaMarcus Aldridge. It's stolen by Smith. Moving the ball well. On the wing, Johnson. He's covered by Matthews. 6 to shoot. Johnson right side. That one falls short.
Well, that's a really good look, but even as good a shooter as he is, they're not all going to fall.
Outside, Felton. Working on Smith. Outside, Felton. Here's Aldridge. Again, the miss by the Trailblazers.
I'll tell you what, folks. I bet he won't miss that shot next time he takes it.
And here's Heinrich. And stolen by Oden.
Well, credit the defense, but boy, coming through with the game in the balance.
Yep, a game-changing clutch bucket there.
Here's Heinrich. And they commit an intentional foul. We'll see another one of those so that you get into the penalty.
And fouling now is really your only option.
Yeah, and you just got to hope he misses the free throw so you can get back in the game, Steve.
And an intentional foul there stops the clock. And the first of 2 misses. Connects on number 2, and that'll put him up by 2. Now a timeout called by Portland. They're trailing by 2. 11 seconds left in the second overtime. What a game. Here's Batum. Outside Aldridge to tie it up. Oh, off target to tie. This is the dunk with the chance to extend the game. And so it's the Hawks who come out on top. Clark a double